I made a list of all the ideas that you all posted on the Bernina Beginners 7 and 8 series embroidery group that you would like a video on or some sort of tutorial or something. And so I kind of did these in order. I just went down through the comments on the post, and so today we're going to do an applique in the hoop project, and this is for Lisa and Beth. To begin my project today, you know, I always start out by cleaning and maintaining my machine. The better care that you take of anything, your car, a cake pan, you know, your makeup brushes, the longer they will last and the better they will serve you. So I always take good care of my Bernina, and I have already oiled it and cleaned it really good. I think quite a few of you have seen me use an old mascara brush. I use an old mascara brush in here, and I can, it doesn't sweep the lint off over into the machine. It sticks it into the bristles, and then I clean that out. And so since we're going to be doing an in the hoop project, I had my 9mm plate on, and we're going to need the 0mm plate. So we'll put that on, and I usually put it in lower left corner first and lower right corner, and up here there's a little place to put your finger, kind of a little circly doohickey, and you just push it down and it's on. And I'm going to put in a new needle pretty soon, and I'm going to be using my 26 foot, so I'll put that on now. And I've shown you this before, but just for maybe for somebody new that hasn't seen it, if you struggle to put your hook back into the hook race, you just line up, there's this little hole on the back here, and just line that up with the silver dot inside there so that it's just kind of right straight across. And then there's a little depression here in the hook, and there's a felt pad under there that you oil, and then there's a little hole right here. And if you line that up to where it lines up, and have your hole lined up, and then you just close the door and it's in there. So we'll do that. And if you're having problems with nesting on the bottom or something like that, and you need to rethread, threading your bobbin is kind of a step-by-step deal. You always want to have the silver little receptors going in. So we'll put those in, and you will pull the thread around, and it's going to come up in this little catch on this little tension bar right here. You can see it going down in there, and then it's going to come up and under, and you can't just leave it hang like this. It's got to kind of pop in there. So we'll pop it in there. I'm probably holding my bobbin a lot different than if there we go. So you can see the thread comes out from under this wide silver bar up through this little compartment there that's made out of wire, and that's your tension on your bobbin. And when you put your bobbin in, you don't push on the right side, that's your release. You push on the left side and pop it in there. And this is your thread cutter, and you can, I usually put a finger here on the top and hold it and cut the thread. And if you don't close the door, your machine will come up right away and tell you that your bobbin's empty, because the little sensor that tells you looks to see how much thread's left on your bobbin, it's down in here. So you have to close it so it can see the bobbin in there. So I'm going to put my slide-on table on. If I were doing embroidery on a onesie or a t-shirt, maybe something like that, I would leave it off because I would be using my free arm for that. We can show you that if you want to in another video. But I'm going to go ahead and put my slide-on table back on, and then we're going to get started on an in the hoop project. So I've got my supplies out. Today I'm going to be making a little bib. This bib is in 3 sections, and it has an applique in the hoop embroidery here in the middle. And when you purchase a design like this, you're going to get quite a bit of information in the download. And when you open the zip folder, somewhere in there, there is going to be a PDF. And you will print that off. And your PDF might be quite a few pages. I don't know how many pages this one is. They're not numbered, I don't think. But this is the step-by-step directions to do this bib. So what we're going to do is just, we're going to start at the beginning. And we're going to just go through step by step, and we're going to make a little bib. And this particular one comes in 2 sizes, and I'm going to be making the large one, which is 7 by 12 inches. So I'm going to need 3 fabrics for the bib and the back. I'll use one of these for the back of the bib, and then I'll need something for my little bunny. So I found some light brown. Then you'll need thread, ears, nose, around the face and around the outside of the bunny, and something to kind of blend to sew the bib up with. Some of this is done on the machine. There are many in the hoop projects you can get that are done completely in the hoop, but this one is about half and half. So you do you'll do all the embroidery in the hoop, and then you'll finish it up on the sewing machine. The project that I'm doing for our in the hoop tutorial, I want to do the large size bib, which is 7 by 12, I believe. And so I need my jumbo hoop. When I got my machine, I only bought 2 extra hoops. I bought the mega hoop and the jumbo hoop. And I have the 770, and my machine cannot access all of the jumbo hoop. However, everything I have ever wanted to do has fit in it just fine. I do edge-to-edge quilting and very large projects on towels and everything in my jumbo hoop. So we'll go from there. The PDF that I printed off, that is the directions on how to do my little bib I want to make, tells me that I need a water-soluble, non-woven stabilizer in my hoop. So I kind of have my hoop upside down. I'll turn it so it's the right way for you. This is the part of my hoop that I can't access. I can get to all the rest of it. So I am going to use a stabilizer here called Vilene. This is called Vilene, and I get it from a place called All Stitch. I think I get that on Amazon, maybe. So you can only get Vilene in 12-inch rolls. And what you really need is quite a bit wider than that. So what I do is I take a scrap of tearaway. This is just a medium weight tearaway that is longer. I think this is 20 inches. and I just sewed it on my machine, sewed it together. Here's the little flap, and hooped it. And this is an awfully big hoop and a really thin stabilizer. So this is something you've seen me do before, and you can kind of see maybe around my hoop that I have pins. Every so often there's a pin, and that is to keep I've already burped my hoop, and that is to keep my stabilizer from getting loose in here. I've got it nice and stable the way I want it. I would not call this terribly tight because what I'm doing for this step of the project, it doesn't have to sound like a drum. You know, sometimes we tap on it and it sounds like a drum. So anyway, just finishing up pinning this, and this will be probably my last one to put in here. And so that will hold my stabilizer. So now we're going to go and pull up the design on the machine, and we'll see what it's asking us to do. We'll make sure we've got the right stitch plate, the right presser foot, and I'll tell you what kind of threads I'm using, and we'll get started on our project. So I've got my USB stick in my machine. I've been sewing on here, so I need to move over to embroidery. So we'll do that. And it's asking me to put my feed dogs down, so we'll do that. I'm going to take my knee lift out and put it out of the way and change feet. Put my 26 foot on so that I can do embroidery. And I have my single hole needle plate on. So we have to go in and tell the machine that we have switched to 26 foot, and it thinks I'm using the 9mm stitch plate, so we'll switch it to the 0 stitch plate, and we'll close out of that. And there's the first step of my in the hoop bib that I want to make. So everything looks okay. You can see that this side of my hoop is not round because I'm using my jumbo hoop. I've selected that here, and I can't access all of it on the 770, but you can see that the size of bib I want to make fits in my stitchable area just fine. So let's go ahead and put my hoop on. Well, we better not do that yet. We better pull the arm over. Let's pull the arm over, get it into positions. I just touched the needle icon to do that. And so now it's asking me to put my hoop on. It's not saying it wants to move the hoop, it's saying it wants to have the hoop attached. So we'll do that. Now it wants to move the hoop and do a little calibration, so we'll let it do that. And now it's at the first stitch it wants to take. And my directions in my PDF tell me to put down some lightweight fleece and my fabric. And I can see that this is the top and this is the bottom of my bib. So I'm going to put my fabric in like this. And I'll go all the way over. And this is floating, where I'm floating this on top of the hoop. It's not hooped in, it's just sort of sitting there. So is the fleece. Everything else is hooped. And so now let's go ahead and pull up my bobbin thread. And remember how we always keep away from the needle. So I'll go ahead now, and it looks like what is going to happen is it's going to stitch out the top of the bib. So let's do that. So I'm going to stop it, trim my threads. And we'll go ahead and stitch the rest of the way around. Now, I just smoothed the fabric just a little bit, and you can see my machine is not going very fast. When this gets stitched out, it's asking me in my directions to go ahead and take this out of the hoop, to trim it, leaving 1/2 inch seam allowance all around the outside edge of everything, and to trim the fleece close to the stitching. So we'll do that next. So we're working on our in the hoop project, and we have completed the first file. Some in the hoop projects are all one file, and it just the machine just follows through color by color. This particular project is 2 different embroidery files. You'll find that sometimes. So now we've completed the top part and the little straps, and now we're ready to do the lower part of the bib. So we'll select that. And again, it's asking me to use my maxi hoop, which I don't have, so I'll put it in the jumbo. And I've hooped everything just the way I did before. And so now it's all set to go, and I'm going to move the arm. You don't put your hoop on until it asks you for it. So we'll touch the needle, and it's asking for the hoop. So we'll go ahead and put that on. I've hooped everything up exactly the way I did it the first time. And now it's wanting to put it into position, so we'll do that. And according to my directions, I remember we printed off the little PDF that is the directions for this. And this time it's asking just for the fleece. This is Thermolam fleece, and it only wants that. So we'll pull up the bobbin thread, and it's going to stitch out a placement line, or sometimes it's called a die line. And this is for the middle part of the bib. And now my directions tell me that it's asking for fabric. So this is what I chose to be the background for the little bunny. So now it's going to go around one more time and stitch down the fabric. If you watch my screen change, now it's going to do the quilting that you see on the middle, in the middle part of the baby bib. So right now I have 60 weight thread in my bobbin, and this is just regular sewing thread that I have on top right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do the quilting in regular sewing thread, and I believe it's a cotton and polyester blend. This is just the background quilting, so when this is completed, we'll come back and we'll start the applique for the bunny. We'll put the bottom, I believe it calls for the bottom first, and then the applique for the bunny. You can see there's a dark purple line here, and in my directions it's telling me that it's ready for the lower piece of fabric for the front of the bib. So let me trim that, and we're putting this right side down, and we're going to just stitch a line across here. This is all included in the embroidery file. I don't have to do anything different. Just put fabric where it tells me to and watch it stitch out. my directions tell me to fold it down. I'll just kind of use my fingers and just sort of fold it down, and it's going to tack this down. My directions tell me that it's going to stitch out a die line so that I can see where to put my fabric for my little bunny. So I'm going to switch threads because I'll never be able to see it if I use this tan thread. So I'm going to use a brown thread, which is what I'm going to use on my little bunny anyway. And this is 40 weight embroidery thread that I'm going to use. There we go. So now we'll stitch our die line. Just do a little outline of the bunny so I can see where to put the fabric that's going to be the applique part for the bunny. So now it would like for me to put down a piece of fabric. When I cut one, let's see if I got it big enough. Yep, I think so. So I think we'll be okay. My bobbin thread's going to run out. When that happens, I'll stop the video, reload my bobbin, and come back and finish up. This is all just quilting cotton that I'm using, but I have done in the hoop applique with almost any kind of fabric you can think of. I have done many projects, and they all turn out just fine. You just follow the directions in the PDF. That's the main thing, is to get that PDF printed off and follow the directions. I think my next step, I'm looking at my directions, and it's going to want me to trim this. So I'm going to come in here with my little scissors and trim all around with my little curved scissors, and we'll be right back.